So you guys are with us all afternoon for Forcible entry. The game plan is we're going to walk you guys through all of our props. We're going to discuss different techniques, but each prop is built for a certain technique. So we'll show you what that prop's built for. Make sure you're using the proper technique so we don't cause any undue damage on our Forcible entry props. Good with that? It takes about 30-40 minutes to walk through all of our props. Once we're done, we're going to cut you guys loose. Work with teams of 2, teams of 3, work at your speed, take breaks when you want to, hit whatever props you want. Okay, use your time because it is your time to do so. Okay, first prop we have. Some of our props are built correctly, some of them not so much, so we'll talk about that as well. First prop we have, this is to simulate a wood door in a wood frame, outward swinging. I know it's outward swinging because I can see the hinges. Problem here is typically our outward swinging are flush with the building. This one we built in recessed because it has panic hardware on the backside. Just based upon the building, we had to recess it. Okay, don't let that throw you off. Wood door, wood frame, outward swinging. Where are we going to find wood doors and wood frame, outward swinging? Probably our old churches, our old schools. Places of assembly. If they're places of assembly, what do they need roughly waist level? Panic hardware. 44, 42 inches off the ground. That's where we're going to find our panic hardware. The way this prop's used or designed is I'm going to come in with my chainsaw. Start up high, I'm going to cut down to the panic hardware. Don't cut the panic hardware, just come to about that level. Set the break of the saw, tip the saw up. You should activate the panic hardware on the other side, okay? If for some reason you don't activate the panic hardware after you tip the saw up and you hit the handle, you can pull the saw out, turn it upside down, put it back in, and now that gives you a little bit more room, a little bit more throw with the saw to activate that panic hardware. In this case, you probably don't need to flip it upside down, okay? If you're going to use this technique in real life, if you notice our panic hardware goes from one end of the door to the other. The newer style panic hardware only goes from the middle of the door to the latch, okay? So if you're going to use this technique, always cheat towards the latch a little bit versus going middle of the door to the hinge. Questions there? Pretty straightforward. Probably get 4 or 5 cuts in here, throw that panel away. We got extra panels, we'll pull out more than this. If they're not cut perfectly, just use the chainsaw, trim them, slide new ones in. This one.
Oops. Oh, very good.
Dom, can you give me an inboard and outboard? The saw's back over there. Double hung aluminum glass doors. Okay, so we're typically going to find these on our storefronts. Come up, I know it's outward swinging, flush with the building, I see the hinges, okay? My first cut, I'm gonna come in with my rotary saw, and I'm gonna come straight through the latch. I may or may not cut something, okay? Depending upon the type of lock. In this case, you have a piece of rebar, so we are actually gonna cut through the latch. Once I've cut through the latch, I'm gonna try and open this door. In this case, it doesn't open, why? It has pins top and bottom. Okay, it's that kind of Adams Wright style lock where I lock it here. Not only it may or may not have a latch, but it has pins top and bottom. Okay, we have pieces of rebar top and bottom that are going to simulate those pins. You're going to cut those pins for that piece of rebar. Nice. As you guys probably discussed in the saw class yesterday, when we use our rotary saws for forcible entry, we ideally like them in a outboard position versus in an inboard position. This is one of the reasons, okay? If I'm gonna come in and cut these bottom ones, and I'm using an inboard saw, you can see that the cutting arm gets in my way, okay? I can cut at an angle and still cut those pins. I may have to cut a little bit of the door, I may have to cut a little bit of the frame. I can still make it work. You notice our prop, however, is a couple inches off the ground. Typically, these doors go all the way to the ground. So in order to make that cut, I'm really cutting into that door quite a bit, okay? Not that you're not going to be able to get in, it's just going to take a little bit more time. If I have a outboard saw, you notice it's pretty darn easy to make my cut where I want to. Okay? Not to mention on my top cut, if I use an inboard saw, I've lost a couple inches of height with my blade being in the inboard position versus the outboard position where my blade's on top. Good with that? Okay. Whenever I'm making the cuts on this style door, what I like to do is I always like to make my cuts from left to right when I'm cutting above my shoulders. Make my cuts right to left when I'm cutting below my waist. And really that's just because the handle is designed that way on the rotary saw. Okay? Left to right, right to left. Good? Also, I don't like plunge cutting. Okay? I don't like free spool my saw, just plunge it in there. It's kind of a guess whether or not you've cut through those pins. Okay, what I like to do is free spool over here, move my saw till I feel resistance. When I cut through, I don't feel any more resistance till I hit the next one. When I cut through, I don't feel more resistance. So I feel each pin independently and I know exactly when I cut through. Good? More rebar here, more rebar there. We have a socket for the top ones, guys. Just cinch it down, don't crank it down tight to tighten up the rebar, strip out the nuts that are up there. So just kind of cinch it down to hold the rebar in place. Okay? Questions there?